Welcome to Sidetracked, your unofficial agency of record. I'm Shane.
And I'm Emily, and we help run Trek, a tech-driven, full-service creative agency based in Rockford, Illinois.
Here on the podcast, we tackle our clients' biggest marketing challenges. We reveal what's worked for us and dig into real-life case studies and practical strategies you can put to work today.
Curiosity is our compass, which is why we always start with a question. All right, for our final episode of Season 3, we have an Ask Me Anything, AMA. So we've got some questions, 4 to be exact, that we've gotten throughout the season that we'll be talking through today. And here to help us ask the questions back, Nick Grobe.
Hey.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, how's it going, y'all? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
As always, lovely to have you.
What do you have for us today, Groby?
Well, the internet has spoken, and I have a handful of questions ranging from, marketing strategy to AEO, so and all the way to in-person events. So they run the gamut. So I hope you got your thinking caps on, and
I'm ready.
Crack into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, first one out of the mailbag. Let's see. AEO is pretty much the same as SEO, right?
we have talked about this a little bit. So it's a funny question because we talked about it on the podcast, and even since then, earlier this season, things have changed already.
Of course. Yeah.
And I hear this exact question often from clients because we start talking about AEO and then they say it's the same thing. So like, what do I need to do different? Maybe Shane, you will have a good answer to this. What do you think?
Okay.
How would you answer?
I would have even said a couple of months ago, yeah, if you already have a robust SEO program going, you're probably mostly covered because the types of things that work when you're doing AEO it's generally also the same best practices that we've been following for a long time with SEO. Number one, like create valuable content that people actually want to read, that will actually help them, the type of thing that they're actually searching for. As long as you're generally doing that, like you're mostly fine. But there are some things that if you're serious about content marketing about getting found online, you may want to think about differently when it comes to AEO because you're going after something different. You're going after mentions, being mentioned by these AI search tools, ChatGPT, Perplexity, AI overviews, and Gemini and Claude. And you're also going after citations. The things that you want to do to get mentions and citations in the AI tools are slightly different from the things that you want to do to appear in Google's SERP, the search engine results page. Namely, one thing I'm realizing over the last few months as we really dig into the evolution of AEO is the importance of earned media. Like, I have really come to believe that PR is going to be more important than ever in the coming years in the world of marketing. So that's one. Another is these AI engines, they like content presented in a slightly different way. So it's a lot of question and then immediate, very direct answer. Like that's the best way to actually get cited because you have delivered up the answer to the question. And then there's just things that you want to be doing kind of around your content marketing, like your larger content strategy for an AEO strategy that you might not be thinking about as much with an SEO strategy. We've started with a lot of our clients to get more active on Reddit. And on the one hand, Reddit's kind of like social media almost in a way. Like, I don't know. But also we see that it's being cited often by like in AI answers. And so if you want to be talked about in those answers, one way is for your brand to be talked about on Reddit. That's not You can't just go on Reddit and make a bunch of posts. That's not how Reddit works. So you actually need to be part of the conversation on Reddit. Like the content strategy is different for AEO. You can't just keep doing the same thing you were doing in 2023 and think that it's going to work in 2026 or 2027. And it's changing really fast. I will say we now have better tools to monitor it than we did even a few months ago. So I'm really loving HubSpot's AEO tool. It's an easy way to track mentions, citations, and overall brand visibility across the different answer engines. And yeah, one thing I like about it is it offers up recommendations. So it'll say like, this is where you're being cited and mentioned right now. You should go after these 5 sites where your competitors are being mentioned. And again, that's what it's a PR strategy. So it's different. I don't think we can just say AEO is the same thing as SEO and move on. The job is not done.
And also announced since we released the last episode on AEO is the Google announcement on the way that they handle search results changing. So Google is not the whole world of search, but they certainly lead it. So by changing the way that when you Google something, it will be like pretty much all AI overview, AI surfaced chat interactions. Your traditional search results are going away at some indefinite point this year. Maybe it's definite now, but at some point this year, then that is automatically going to change SEO too, right? Like you're trying to rank for Google primarily. All the others, is kind of like a secondary, but like your main audience is going to be on Google. And by the end of this year, you will not be able to use SEO in the standard way, right? Is that a fair statement?
So Google has said they're going to start prioritizing the AI experience in their searches as opposed to the traditional SERP.
So it is not the same thing. And now is a good time to start thinking about it differently, evolving your thinking. Not too late to get on board, even though everyone loves to say you have to get on board immediately or you'll be left behind. That's not the case. It's just that it's an opportune time to start thinking about it a little differently.
Oh, what's our next question?
All right. Well, this I would almost call a follow-up to this first question, and I am guessing I know the answer to this, but let's let her rip. And this listener writes or asks, if I keep doing the same SEO things that I'm currently doing, will I show up in AI answer engines?
Probably not much.
Okay, potentially. It depends on the quality of your content today. I will say we have some clients who without doing any AEO, before they started doing any concerted effort at AEO, already had good visibility in AI answer engines because the SEO content that they had built over years was very strong. So I'm thinking in particular of one client that we'd been doing regular blog posts for many years, had tons of product spec sheets on their website, and a robust social media presence, and lots of YouTube videos. And that had been part of their core content strategy for many years. And when all of this started happening, they already had good visibility. And now we can just try to improve their AI visibility from there. So it depends on your content. You might be better off than you realize. I would suggest using one of the, like I mentioned, HubSpot's AEO tool, which I think has a free trial on it. There are a bunch of them out there where you can check your AI visibility, and most of them have free trials. I would suggest doing that and just seeing, like, how is your current content performing?
So based on that, would you say like, I guess not to say the quality of your content or whatever aside, but like, would you say that legacy brands might be able to get away with it? But if you're a new company, then oof, and you're essentially building from scratch, right? You don't have the years of credibility.
Reputation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I would put it into buckets that way necessarily, because I've seen a lot of legacy brands that have a lot of old, outdated content to deal with. They have like content debt, and that may weigh them down. And I've read that it's actually a lot easier for brand new brands to break into pretty good AI visibility, because you can see AEO results a lot faster than you could see SEO results. These agents are constantly out looking at websites on behalf of people, trying to do things on websites on behalf of people. So like, are you creating content that people are actually asking about is one thing. And is that content very high quality? And are you writing it in a way that these agents can easily parse it? I think like if you're coming in as a brand new brand and you've studied AEO, you can get results pretty quickly.
That is an interesting point, though, the content debt. Like, it's almost, you need to know, even if you're not targeting AEO in your content strategy, you need to know how you're appearing, because you could be misrepresented in
Yes.
AEO, and that's a totally different problem.
That is
to
a
have.
huge problem, because the client I mentioned earlier that has a ton of product spec sheets, they keep those up to date. They don't let the product spec sheets on their website get out of date. I have seen companies before where they've got a ton of old, outdated product spec sheets out there, and AI doesn't know the difference. They don't know that you updated your product and you don't have that model anymore. So that stuff can be surfaced in these answers and then mislead the person who's searching. So yeah, it's almost like you need to do more regular content audits now. And that could happen with Google search results too. So that's not a new thing, but I'd say some of these things are becoming a little more urgent, because with AI visibility, we're now dealing with brand sentiment. Like, the AI answer is presenting your brand in a certain light, and somebody may be asking, would you recommend this company or this competitor company? And AI is actually giving them a recommendation in a way that Google search results never would until AI overviews. So you need to think about how some of that outdated content might be affecting that brand sentiment.
Cool.
Lot to think about.
And then by
Yeah,
this
for
time next
sure.
month, it'll be totally different again.
Yeah, to tune in 4 weeks from now.
All right. Next question. This is kind of an interesting one. Can I just give you my marketing strategy from Claude? Won't that save me time and money?
I'll let you take this one, Emily.
There is a growing body of people who might say that they don't completely trust AI, but then when it comes time to find shortcuts in ways, they are more than willing to, I don't want to say shut their brain off and let someone else do the thinking, but it is sort of like, I'm just going to dump all my thoughts in 5 or 10 minutes going back and forth with this chat, and then I'm going to send it to somebody else to take care of. And where I say that there's a growing body of people is that, like, that same group of people maybe 6 months ago would have said, like, AI is useless. And it's like it's a demographic of people that is like wanting to explore. And I love the spirit of adventure and trying to leverage AI to make things more streamlined, because we love that. But when we are just given things that are an output from these LLMs, we don't get all of your thought process, all of the back and forth, all of the context that you gave that LLM. You're cutting us as an agency out of that conversation completely, and you're asking us to be a hammer without context, without understanding, and without like even knowing what we're looking at. So we still have to sit with this document as the experts and say, is this good? Is it hitting the mark? And we still have to come back with a lot of questions to try and understand those things. So it might save some time, like maybe the drafts, and frankly, I think Shane, you would say this too, in the last like, I don't know, the most recent model of Claude is certainly getting things much closer. But it still is going to give you a 15-page document with a whole bunch of extra words. Even if you tell it to be to the point, it's still over the top, way too much. And it takes time for someone to sit and understand that. The majority of the time when this request comes in, the person who is giving us that document isn't doing that thinking. So the strategy and the critical hole poking that has to happen in the beginning of building a strong strategy still has to happen. We still have to do that. We just are given less. So I don't think that it necessarily saves you. It might save you some time, but it comes at a cost of context, of collaboration, frankly, in my opinion, and also new ideas, because everything that the strategy is being built on from AI is going to be what's out there already. It's not anything new. It's not the groundbreaking or really custom to you. It's maybe a start of a draft, but I would say if you want to go that route, which again, all about people trying new things and trying to be more relevant and exploring new ideas, trying to be more efficient, all about that. I would love if someone sent me that document and said, here's our marketing strategy. I want you to do this. I would love if you sent me the whole chat. Don't just send me the output document. Send me the whole interaction, because then I can see what were the prompts that you gave it. What are the things you said were important? Then I can take that. I can upload it into Claude and I can continue the conversation there to continue to get it more, say like, okay, remove redundancies. Tell me the things that you filled in the blanks on, and kind of like work through. It's not going to be perfect, but at least gives me more to work with. And then we still have the same process. So I don't know. I think I am concerned because I can tell when a client sends it to me if it came from ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini instantly. You send it to me and I'm like, oh, you just did this in ChatGPT, and I can tell you didn't do two versions of it because this half of it makes sense and the other half doesn't. So I think it's just like it's like cutting us out as a partner in like the most crucial stages of like setting the foundation for your house. And like you just want us to build a house with no foundation, and it's going to crumble eventually if that foundation isn't firm enough. That's my long answer.
I think anybody who is a people manager can understand this analogy. You're going to get better results from people if you include them at the beginning of the project so that they understand what we're working on, why we're doing it, what the ask is, what success looks like, rather than just handing somebody a project that's half done and saying, finish this. And it's the same thing with an agency-client relationship. You're going to get better results if you include the agency partner at that strategy stage, at that thinking stage. And so to cut the partner out and do that with an LLM, I think it's fine if like you are using that as your thought partner to get your thoughts to a certain place. But then have the strategy discussion with the agency from the ground floor so that you're bringing the agency along and they can do their best work, because agencies are always going to work better as partners than as, like you said, just a hammer. At that point, like, why are you spending so much money on a hammer? I agree with you that going to an LLM for content output, like you're gonna get the median, you're gonna get the average, you're gonna get what most other people who are asking the same question are getting.
Mm-hmm.
And there are ways to work in, especially like Claude Cowork has become so advanced that if you set it up right, I think you can get really good results from it, but not the way I've seen most people doing it in our experience over the last 6 months.
Yeah, hot tip, change your default settings in Claude to say, don't make my colors light blue, like the navy blue colors. Put your brand colors in there and tell it to use that. So at least when you send me the PDF, it looks like something that wasn't. I can tell if it wasn't Claude, at least at first glance. But anyways.
But you can set up Cowork to truly co-work through it and get a good work product, but you're co-working. You are putting the time in still. And that's when I've seen good results from it, but not in these shortcut, give me a strategy, give me an article, give me a content offer, and you just take what it gives you. Even with like a little back and forth on those, you're not going to get anything very custom. It's going to be what everybody else got when they asked for a similar content offer. And then it comes to us and we have to figure out how to edit it, which is in those cases, like harder to do than starting from scratch. Like it sometimes takes more time. So we're all on this learning journey together. We'll figure out how to work successfully with AI in the cases where clients want to use it. And I am really excited about some of the AI tools inside of HubSpot for our clients to use HubSpot, because there it's like contextual AI where it has all of your CRM data and can give you advice based on your actual customer data and your actual deals. That I'm really excited about, more so than, some of the content I've seen coming out of ChatGPT. I can tell a ChatGPT draft a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same sentence structure. It's not this, it's that. Like
the table even is formatted the same way if there's a table involved. And
I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
And also, I have to say, one other thing that has really upset me about all of this is I am a fan of an M-dash. I have used an M-dash for a very long time. And now, because people think that ChatGPT uses M-dashes, and so an M-dash is a mark of something that was written by ChatGPT, some of our clients have told us that we can no longer use M-dashes in our writing for them. And that hurts my heart. It just makes me sad. And it's also resulting in semicolons in marketing copy, and they don't belong there. Rarely does a semicolon belong in marketing copy. So,
and there, folks, is a hill that Shane will die on.
Well, maybe it's time to start a movement. Taking back the M-dash.
Take back the M-dash.
Let's put it on T-shirts.
Oh my gosh. These are the hills that I will die on.
So quick question about that, because, we do not use, as an organization, generative AI for like visuals and things frequently, but that is where, just because of my role, that is where I'm more familiar. And so, when I hear you guys talk about like the tells of content generated by AI, and the visual stuff has some pretty similar tells too, but could you also funnel in like a style to it too? Because that can be like a thing in some of the more visual stuff, like here's my prompt, but do it in the style of blah 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 blah.
Yeah, you can. And that's one thing I'm seeing some folks who are just experimenting with it are not doing. They're
Right.
not doing the upfront setup, which takes time. Like it's an investment in time to set up these tools for your brand. And it's an investment in time when you ask for a new piece of content or you're working on something using the tool. It takes time to make it good. It's not just spit this out, it's automatic, it's done, it's perfect. So the setup, yeah, you can give it brand voice, brand guidelines, brand colors, all of that. In individual interaction, you can say,
Mm.
I want it to sound more professional or I want it to sound more casual or whatever. When we're getting things like this, in the instances we're talking about, which to be fair, like have been few and far between with our clients. Most of our clients are not sending us. Oh, I saw that look, Emily. I'm not seeing a lot of it. So thank you for shielding me from some of that.
Filters.
Yes. But when it's come to me, it hasn't been like it's been very clear that somebody just did it really quickly in 2 minutes.
I think that's the differentiation here. It's someone who has I have a personal Claude, like my work Claude. That's like what I do for my work as a business owner, as an executive. If I was to ask my Claude, which I have trained and I have given it in my settings the way to talk to me, the way that I want things, but also even if I hadn't done that, I've used it for so long that it knows me well enough now that it knows what I want to hear. So if I was to switch gears and say okay, now I want you to write in the brand voice of Trek and do this, that's not what it's trained on all of this time. It's not trained as a B2B marketer. It's trained as my kind of assistant. That doesn't mean that it can't do it or that it couldn't even give it a solid first pass because of all the context it has on me and Trek. But it's not it's not set up to be a content engine for a business when you're using your own personal account. I think people just think, oh, I can use it to do anything, but you kind of have to be strategic about how you prompt it and what you put in the settings. Or so for me, because I don't have outputs that I'm giving to anyone, or it's mostly a thought partner or research or that kind of thing. I put in my settings very specifically things like the way that I want it to talk to me, do not add an unnecessary table or footer into a document or a header into a document, because that's the other tell is if you have an output of any kind, like a Google Doc, because I have Google connected, then it will just add in a bunch of random things like page numbers with a description of something and just way too many words. So I say use the least amount of words, talk to me really directly. Don't I will tell you the role I need you to play that role to its fullest. I want you to be self-aware. So I told it to do all of those things. I then cannot switch gears with those settings set up and ask it to do something totally different and get as good of an output as if I had trained it differently. I don't know if I'm making sense,
You are making sense. You could set up a project within Claude Cowork.
Yes,
where that project
separately.
has its own settings. But then
Yes.
again, it's you have to do the setup. You have to give it the context. It's only as good as the context it has.
So the documents that we get are from people in their personal accounts giving us these things that they're not set up that way. And you can tell.
Yeah.
Off my soapbox.
Yeah, those are good. No, those are good points.
Oh, yeah, we're spending a lot of time on soapboxes today. Do we have a fun question?
I think so too. Although I will say I think that this question could be an episode all on its own, because it's big, and I think you guys have a lot of insight. This is personally something that when I was going to, events that I struggled with. So this one kind of hits home, I guess. And the question is, you talked about in-person events. What's the best way to meet and talk to people at a big event with thousands of people?
Oh, Emily, you go to a lot more events than me. I'll give my one piece of advice on this.
Go for it.
And that is, I'm not always great at doing this, but I try to be. when you go to an in-person event, if you are an introvert like myself
And me.
and being around people you find like maybe fun and exciting but draining, not energizing, you have to go in with the mentality, I am here to make friends. It has helped me so much at so many events. I just decide in the days leading up to the event, I'm here to make friends. And I walk in and say, I'm here to make friends. And then you go out and you find your friends. That's my best advice. You probably have more concrete advice.
Oh, it's good advice. I tell myself something slightly different, which is there are friends here for me to find, because then it's like it's not up to me. It's like these people are already here. It's not like a room of people that I don't know that like don't want to talk to me, because that's like my assumption when I hear the word networking. It's like forced conversation with people that like don't actually care what I have to say. But that's not true. There is always in these big groups of people, especially like this question is thousands, there's always going to be, people that you can connect with. A couple practical tips. The first is, and I literally lived this week, so it's fresh in my mind. If you feel stuck and you're at these events, there are often a lot of free sessions to go to, like in the exhibit halls. There's booth demos. There are educational sessions that are happening at like the event sponsored, like halls kind of thing that are like there about general topics. I find that if especially I'm going into a place where I feel like an outsider or like I'm not quite up to speed, just sitting in on a couple of sessions makes you feel like you're in the know and at least have like some terminology or like you're getting a pulse of like, what do people at this event care about? What are they thinking about? So that when you go into these other conversations, you have some kind of reference. So this last event I went to was like really outside my comfort zone because it's like an adjacent industry to what we typically work in. And so the first time we walked the floor, I had that like cold feet moment of like, oh no, like how am I ever going to talk to somebody? And then I just thought like, I don't know anything here. I just need to be curious. I just need to sit and listen. So we went to some of these sessions and it was really helpful. And then just while you're sitting there waiting for it to start, people are coming in and you're like, oh, where'd you get that water? I'm thirsty too. Just like starting conversations in that way in a very natural way helps kind of build the confidence. So that's like step one. Find easy, free things to do, like in the exhibit hall especially. And then the second point, it kind of goes with the first, and I said this, get curious. So when I'm walking a show floor, especially big exhibits, lots of thousands of people, I'm like, that's an interesting booth. So I'll just stop and ask questions and think about like, what does this remind me of? Or I wonder how that plays with this. And then like, because I don't know anything, I usually will start the question with, this might be a silly question, but and it kind of like diffuses it a little bit because then like I said, I'm always like, they're going to think that like I don't belong here because I feel like an outsider. But like sometimes just owning, this might be a silly question, but like I'm curious. I just want to know more. And leading with that curiosity helps to kind of break the ice in a lot of ways. And they're all at the event to talk to people too. So just remembering like, if you make it easy to talk, then like they want to talk too. The other way I do that is I love good marketing. I'm a sucker for good marketing. This is a well-known fact and should be obvious as a creative agency. When people have good shirts or good marketing like backdrops, I always, even if I don't stop to talk to them because they like, won't make eye contact with me or something, I just say like, I really like your shirts. You guys are doing something right. Like you are standing out. You guys have like the brightest booth in the hallway. Or I'll just like say something obvious like that. And that's always a good kind of conversation starter too. Especially when like I know nothing about maybe like their product. I've never heard of their brand, but I just want to kind of be a human and talk to another human. I also make a point, like if I see something that I like that someone is doing, or like they gave a presentation, I see them later, I will say it. Or this week, this girl was wearing this pink power suit and I loved it. So I literally flagged her down from like 2 aisles over and I said, I just have to tell you that I love your suit. And then that became a conversation too. So find what
You love a power suit.
I love a power suit, power pants, power pumps, power suit, whatever you can do. Feel good. Feeling good while you're there is also important. Like if that means comfortable, or if that means like you dress up more or you dress down more, whatever that is, that makes a difference too. So I could go on and
I like
on.
the
but
tip
that's-
to dish out compliments. That's a good one. People love to be complimented.
Yeah. And
Good door opener.
They are also looking for ways to start conversations in a
Yeah.
not awkward way. So it
And you're
kind of-
bringing the positive energy. That's the whole
Exactly.
point. Just you got to bring the positive energy.
yes.
Well, I feel like also too, if you're calling back to like or complimenting them on a panel they just gave or whatever it is, it's just like or similar to reaching out to someone cold online. It's like if you can say like, oh, I liked this post you did on blah 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 blah, or I liked your work here or whatever, like at least it makes it seem relevant and you're not just like shotgun blasting, like just trying to like you're so thirsty and you're just going out trying
Yeah.
to grab contacts and stuff,
Yeah, and like to the first point of like there are friends for me to discover here. There are people that want to talk to me. The other thing to like be aware of is like there are people here that don't want to talk to me, and there are also people here that I don't want to talk to, and that's okay. Like every conversation is not going to go well, and I think like some of that immediate just recognizing that like sometimes it's going to go bad and like fine, I'm just going to walk away and then we're going to move on with our lives, and like just knowing that that's a part of it kind of takes some of the pressure off too, because like there are definitely going to be those awkward interactions. Last thing I'll say is like find someone new to sit with at lunch, because there's always like hard time. You have to like squeeze into tables and stuff, and just like sitting with new people is always just a good, easy thing to do. For an introvert especially, everyone's got to eat. So just like, can I just sit and eat next to you? Even if we don't talk, you always end up talking.
Yeah, you do. All right, I think that's all we have time for today. We promised 4 questions, but here's what I'm going to say. When this episode goes live, we will answer the 4th question on LinkedIn. So come find us there. We will answer the question there. Thank you for being here today, both of you. Thanks for asking us these questions, Groby.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks to our listeners for sending them in.
And end of the 3rd season. So season 4 is coming soon. We're already working on it. There are going to be a few exciting changes. So tune in. We'll take a little break and then we'll be back this summer for season 4.
Thanks for another great season. If you like this episode of Sidetracked, rate, review, and share it with a friend.
Sidetracked is a production of Trek. We are produced by Nick Grobe. You can find us at trek.com.
See ya.
See ya.